How to brick stitch a diamond. If you're not native, please don't use any native designs, but for this tutorial I'll be using 3mm bugle beads. These are Japanese ones, but you don't have to use bugles, you can use regular seed beads. And I'll also be using a 4-pound fire line. Once I've threaded the needle, I will find the middle point of my fire line and wrap that middle point around my finger as an anchor. I will then pick up 2 of the bugle beads and then go up through the first bugle bead I put on the thread, and this will act as an anchor for my beadwork. I'm going to try and get these two as close as possible, making sure they're right next to each other, and then I'll go with the needle and the thread back through the second bead. Then I can proceed and add more beads onto my row. I can do this by picking up a bead, going back through the last bead I went through, and with these ones with bugle beads, you're going to want to make sure that you have the beads as close to each other as possible. And then you're going to go up through the bead you just put on. You'll keep doing this all the way through until you have the right amount of length on your row that you want. And you're going to want to make sure for this bottom row that the beads are as close as possible before you start picking up the next 2 beads for the top row. You're going to go underneath the second thread loop with those 2 beads, go up through the first bead and then the second, and then up through the first bead again. This will create an anchor point for the second row, and then you can continue adding on by going underneath the thread loops. You can do this all the way up the beadwork as it forms a diamond, and that is how essentially you brick stitch. At the end of the top, I like to loop my thread back down to the bottom of the top of the triangle, but I'm going to actually switch to the other half of the thread that I did not use and start from the other side, doing the same technique of going through the second loop and creating a row. And I will keep doing that all the way up through, essentially making 2 triangles that are connected to each other until I have 1 bead at the very end of my beadwork. I like to loop through a little bit and bring both of the threads to the end before I cut them and burn them, and that's essentially it.